Welcome back. I'm excited. We are going to do Genesis chapter 27. This is your first time. Maybe go back and look at some of the others to kind of know what's going on. You should be able to get through this first half of Genesis pretty quickly. Most of the videos are less than 15 minutes long, some less than 20. But uh, Genesis chapter 27 is one of those chapters where I'm going to do something I haven't done and I won't do very often, but we're going to read from the NIV version. Normally, they do a terrible job, I think. But in this particular chapter, they got it right. So did the International Children's Bible, but the Complete Jewish Bible and the New Living Translation did not. I'm not sure on the thought process there. I think somebody just mixed a couple of words. I would imagine in another update that'll be changed. One of the things they're changing now in the ESV is they're adding Jesus the Christ instead of Jesus Christ because he is in an office of the anointed one. His name is not Jesus Christ. So those are things that just change over time. But let's jump into Genesis chapter 27. And like I said, we're going to read it in the NIV version. So when Isaac was old and his eyes were so weak that he could no longer see, he called for Esau, his older son, and said to him, "My son, here I am," he answered. Isaac said, "I am now an old man and don't know the day of my death. But now get your equipment, your quiver and bow, and go out into the open country to hunt some wild game for me. Prepare me the kind of tasty food I like and bring it to me to eat, so that I may give you my blessing before I die." Now Rebekah was listening as Isaac spoke to his son Esau, when Esau left for the open country to hunt game and bring it back. Rebekah told her son Jacob, "Look, I overheard your father say to your brother Esau, 'Bring me some game and prepare me some tasty food to eat, so that I may give you my blessing in the presence of the Lord before I die.' Now, my son, listen carefully to do what I tell you. Go out to the flock and bring me 2 choice young goats so I can prepare some tasty food for your father, just the way he likes it. Then take it to your father to eat so that he may give you his blessing before he dies." Jacob said to Rebekah his mother, "But my brother Esau is a hairy man, while I have smooth skin. What if my father touches me? I would appear to be tricking him and would bring down a curse on myself rather than a blessing." His mother said to him, "My son, let the curse fall on me. Just do what I say. Go and get them for me." So he went and got them and brought them to his mother, and she prepared some tasty food just the way his father liked it. Then Rebekah took the best clothes of Esau, her older son, which she had in the house, and put them on her younger son, Jacob. She also covered his hands and smoothed part of his neck with the goat skins. I like that verse because it says she took the clothes that she had in her house. These are not little kids. So why she had his clothes in the house, we don't know, but she still had some apparently. Then she handed him to her son the tasty food and the bread she had made. He went to his father and said, "My father." "Yes, my son," he answered. "Who is it?" Jacob said to his father, "I am Esau, your firstborn. I have done as you told me. Please sit up and eat some of my game so that you may give me your blessing." Isaac asked his son, "How did you find it so quickly, my son?" "The Lord your God gave me success," he replied. This whole story is a mess. But then Isaac said to Jacob, "Come near so I can touch you, my son, to know whether you really are my son Esau or not." Jacob went close to his father Isaac, who touched him and said, "The voice is the voice of Jacob, but the hands are the hands of Esau." He did not recognize him, for his hands were hairy like those of his brother Esau. So he proceeded to bless him. "Are you really my son Esau?" he asked. "I am," he replied. Then he said, "My son, bring me some of your game to eat, so that I may give you my blessing." Jacob brought it to him, and he ate, and he brought some wine, and he drank. Then his father Isaac said to him, "Come here, my son, and kiss me." So he went to kiss him. So he went to him and kissed him. When Isaac caught the smell of his clothes, he blessed him and said, "Ah, the smell of my son, it's like the smell of a field that the Lord has blessed. May God give you the heaven's dew and earth's richness and abundance of grain and new wine. May nations serve you and people bow down to you. Be Lord over your brothers, and may the sons of your mother bow down to you. May those who curse you be cursed, and those who bless you be blessed." After Isaac finished blessing him, and Jacob had scarcely left his father's presence, his brother Esau came in from hunting. He too prepared some tasty food and brought it to his father. Then he said to him, "My father, please sit up and eat some of my game so that you may give me your blessing." His father Isaac asked him, "Who are you?" "I am your son," he answered, "your firstborn Esau." Isaac trembled violently and said, "Who was it then that hunted game and brought it to me? I ate it just before you came, and I blessed him, and indeed he will be blessed." Then Esau heard his father's words. He burst out with a loud and bitter cry and said to his father, "Bless me too, my father." But he said, "Your brother came deceitfully and took your blessing." Esau said, "Isn't he rightly named Jacob? This is the second time he has taken advantage of me. He took my birthright, and now he's taking my blessing." Then he asked, "Haven't you reserved any blessing for me?" Isaac answered Esau, "I have made him lord over you, and have made all his relatives his servants, and I have sustained him with grain and new wine. So what can I possibly do for you, my son?" Esau said to his father, "Do you have only one blessing, my father? Bless me too, my father." Then Esau wept out loud, or aloud. His father Isaac answered him, "Your dwelling will be away from the earth's richness, away from the dew of heaven above. You will live by the sword, and you will serve your brother. But when you grow restless, you will throw his yoke from your neck." Esau held a grudge against Jacob because of the blessing his father had given him. He said to himself, "The days of mourning for my father are near. Then I will kill my brother Jacob." When Rebekah was told what her older son Esau had said, she sent for her younger son Jacob and said to him, "Your brother Esau is planning to avenge himself by killing you. Now then, my son, do what I say. Flee at once to my brother Laban in Haran. Stay with him for a while until your brother's fury subsides. Then when your brother is no longer angry with you and forgets what you did, I'll send word for you to come back from there. Why should I lose both of you in one day?" Then Rebekah said to Isaac, "I'm disgusted with living because of these Hittite women. If Jacob takes a wife from these among the women of this land, from Hittite women like these, my life will not be worth living." So there's a lot of lying, a lot of deceiving, a lot of saying God told me to do it stuff. But how often do we have God give us a requirement, give us a very clear direction, and then we decide that we want to do it a different way? We don't like the way he called it. Uh, this is really what Isaac's doing. He's like, he knows what God said and he knows what God pronounced, but he wants to do it a different way. Uh, I don't know if he decided to just ignore his wife. That might have been an opportunity or possibility that he was taking. Or did he think God would just allow him to go his own way? That sounds crazy, but when we think about it, we think that all the time. We think, well, I'm going to do it a little different and God's just going to be okay with it. It's like, oh, well, he didn't listen. The matter of birthright was not really the issue because that had already been decided, basically. At verse 36, he says, Esau said, uh, "Is he not rightly named Jacob? For he has supplanted me these 2 times. He took away my birthright, and behold, now he has taken away my blessing." These are 2 different things. The birthright and the blessing one was really more about authority and leadership, and the other was about money and power. Well, not really power, but stuff, cattle and junk like that. The firstborn didn't get everything, just the largest portion and leadership over the clan. This is about the blessing, not a decision on who is Bekor. Bekor is the firstborn. Now, Isaac's 137 years old. But remember, Jacob and Esau were in their 70s. These are not small children. That's why I said, why she still had his clothes there, I don't know. I'm assuming he hadn't lived there in about 50 years. But this is not about a mom that's just controlling her 2 kids. Rebekah was thinking that if her husband refused to carry out God's will, then she would kind of take it in her own hands. She will do it by deception. This is one of the difficult parts of putting our full trust in him. Even if everything in our logic and experience says that it can't happen and we need to help God, we're wrong. We don't need to help God. So let's read the blessing that Isaac pronounced. In 27:28, it says, "Now may God give you of the dew of heaven and of the fatness of the earth and an abundance of grain and new wine. May people serve you and nations bow down to you. Be master of your brother, and may your mother's sons bow down to you. Cursed be those who curse you, and blessed be those who bless you." Isaac is trying to take most of the rights of the firstborn and give them to Esau. Jacob held on to the birthright, that God had already pronounced. So Isaac's basically trying to slim it down a little bit, take some of the good stuff off of it and give it to Esau. Esau did not go into the tent expecting to be named Bekor. He knew that was decided. He just wanted lots of wealth and some power. So verse 28, the Hebrew shows God giving richness of land to Jacob. And then 39, it shows Esau will be held away from richness of land. So Edom, the land of Esau, is south of the Dead Sea, which is pretty inhospitable. It is a really, really hard place to live. This is a place where the NIV actually got it right, because the complete Jewish version and the King James version got it wrong, because they say kind of the opposite, that he will live in the richness, and they just missed that one word translation. But Esau's response makes more sense now, because his blessing was really more of a curse. This curse set Esau against Jacob for all time. King Herod was a result of this curse. He was a descendant of Esau. He's the one that killed all the firstborns trying to get to Jesus. The Turkish population is related to Esau too. The Ottomans are descendants of Esau. The Ottomans have been against Israel, obviously. The majority of Muslims in the world are related to Esau. So this fight 4,000 years ago is still a very big part of what's going on right now, because they feel like it was wrong. They to give the blessing to Esau instead of Jacob was wrong. So it says, by your sword shall you live. And obviously Esau's descendants have become conquerors and robbers and, very tribal. They just take things. War was really their way of life. It's even at the heart of their religion, Islam. The blessing also says, you shall serve your brother, but when you grow restive, you will break the yoke from your neck. A yoke was not a bad thing. It was a good thing. To have the yoke on meant that you and the other animal that you were plowing with worked together. To have God's, Jesus's yoke on you means you and Jesus plow together. You go through life together. So when you take this yoke off, you have the mirage of freedom, but really you're just kind of wandering. You're not being directed by anything. Or more importantly, you're probably being directed by your own thoughts and understanding, as they say. So what he's saying is, you shall serve your brother. And once you get tired of that, you'll break that yoke from your neck, and then you'll just go wander off and do all kinds of things. So when you read break the yoke, it sounds like a good thing, but it's really not a good thing. It's something that he will give up some directing from. King David was a descendant to Jacob. He was the first descendant to rule over Esau. Edom wore the yoke of Israeli domination on their neck for 300 years. This also helps to explain the determination of these so-called Palestinians, because most Palestinians recognize that they're descendants of Esau. They're not descendants of Ishmael, they're descendants of Esau. So this chapter ends with Rebekah telling Jacob to leave. Esau had married 2 Canaanite women, and this just tormented Isaac and Rebekah. But Jacob and Esau were in their 70s, so they were making their own decisions. This is not like little kids and mom had to direct them. They made these decisions. They knew exactly what they were doing. And I think this story is really in the Bible to remind us that even though we think we know better, and even though we're aiming at something that God told us, we're trying to go in a different way. And it's very important that we submit to God and surrender to his leadership. Not it's like, well, God told me to go here, so here's how I'm going to get there. Give God space in your life to make that happen. Don't rely on your own understanding. It's never a good idea. This from somebody who's done that. So that's chapter 27. God bless. Thanks for listening and studying along with us. Share this with somebody that maybe they've been trying to study the Bible and they've just not really gotten there yet. So hopefully this helps them. God bless. Take care.